Today on Quiet Arena Podcast. On this show, man, like we're open, man. When you were in Japan,
You wonder, are you doing the right thing? You wondering who's there for you.
common denominator. That's real talk.
We're not going to speak on it. Take people's judgment of what we're doing and let it ruin our happiness. You're the top 1% of 1%.
Is this making you happy? Don't let somebody else take the joy away.
The stadium is loud, the lights are bright, the crowd is cheering.
Rumor has it, I'm a savage, drop the classic, thinking back.
But every athlete eventually has to answer one question. What happens next? Because when the arena goes quiet, the real game begins. Welcome to Quiet Arena. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Quiet Arena. So look, I want to jump right into it. So look, today's guest is someone whose story isn't built on headlines, all right? It's built on resilience. So Jay Jackson has played this game at the highest level across multiple organizations, across different countries and across seasons where most people would have walked away. He's experienced the call-ups, the setbacks, the movement in the moments where everything changes and you've got to figure it out if you're still going to keep going. What stands out about Jay isn't just the journey through baseball, it's who he became through it. A father, a leader, a man who's had to balance the demands of the game while navigating real life off the field in a way most people never see. He's lived the reality of what it means to keep showing up, not just when things are going right, but when life requires something deeper. So Jay, man, I appreciate you being on here, my brother, man. Welcome to the Quiet Arena, brother.
No, I appreciate you, Tony, man. No, that was a great introduction. You did a hell of a job. So I appreciate you. I would like to talk about myself a lot, but hearing somebody say some of those great things like you just said about me, like, thank you. I appreciate it.
Man,
It's humbling, man.
Hey, brother, look, I gotta give the kudos, and I want to give flowers while the people are still here. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you.
It. Same. I appreciate it.
Well, look, man, what I want you to do, man, take me back to Greenville, man, before baseball got serious. You know what I mean? Who was Jay Jackson? Like, who are you dreaming about before, Furman in the MLB draft?
Honestly, to go back to it, my parents always tell me when I was in first grade and second grade, I said I wanted to be a baseball player or basketball player. I just didn't get the height that I needed to be a basketball player because, I'm 6'1", 6 foot-ish around there. So I didn't get the height, and I wasn't a Steph Curry shooter necessarily. I was more of a slasher driver, get to the basket, go to the free throw line. I had a pretty good high school career, I would say, for high school basketball, a couple all states and some all county teams and whatnot. But yeah, before then, it was my dream. Like I said, my parents told me that. I told my teachers I wanted to be a baseball or basketball player. And then growing up, I watched Michael Jordan, I watched King Griffey Jr., I watched Barry Bonds, my favorite players, and then my favorite pitcher was Pedro Martinez. So I got to watch all those guys, got to watch guys win championships. I got to see people compete at the highest level and follow them really, so that I kind of kept my dream alive. But Greenville's different. I was always the only flat kid on my team. Obviously, we didn't play a lot of baseball. We were always football and basketball, but I played a little bit of football too. But then when I got to high school, my dad told me I needed to make a choice. I needed to choose two sports so I could actually focus on school as well, because he knew how important my academics were. And so I chose basketball and baseball. I was the one who I was like, I'm good, just not getting hit all the time, especially because when I went to high school, my high school football team, they wanted me to be the quarterback at first because I would just be throwing passes on the sideline during high school football games my freshman year, even though I told them I wasn't going to play. And I would just throw passes, and they're like, well, you can be our starting quarterback. And I was like, hey, man, like, our linemen are smaller than me. I am not playing for you guys right now. I was like, we get some bigger linemen, I can trust it. Like, all right, that's cool. And eventually the school did, and they've won some state championships over the past couple of years. So kudos and congratulations to them. Shout out to them for sure for, building that program up. But then they're like, hey, we want you to be, a slot or a wide receiver. I was like, I don't know if my career is going to be in football. And so I'm going to tell you that I'm probably not going to be running across this middle like y'all really want if, y'all don't have the linemen to protect the quarterback in the first place, right? So they're like, well, I guess we can't have you play. I'm like, that's cool. Like, I'll just go stick with basketball and baseball. Like, and, that's kind of how it ended up being, me playing basketball and baseball, just high school wise. But I played a little bit of football too. And just Greenville was, always just dreamed of playing. So parents always told me, if that's what I wanted to do, then at a certain point, it's going to be up to me, right? So I had to put the dedication and the time and effort in. And truly, my dad set a great example for me to do that, not just because he didn't play a sport like when I got to watch him, but just watching his dedication and discipline of what he did every day. You know, he went to the gym in the mornings and then went to work. He worked hard. He came home some nights when my mom would come home later than he would cook dinner. So, you know, he would work, come home, do all the stuff too, then go. They never missed a game either. So I had a great support system growing up. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I can say, like for anybody that has those things to achieve your dreams and your goals is the support system that you put around you.
Facts. No, I agree with you a
So
thousand
that's just
percent.
like going into Greenwood just a little bit. Yeah. So, and then went to Christ Church, and then from Christ Church went to Furman University, which is also in Greenville, South Carolina, too. So I stayed home, but I mainly stayed home in that aspect because I wanted to be around my little sister and my family. I wanted to be close because my sister actually has Down syndrome. So I wanted to make sure I was close to home and I could be around her and take care of her to a certain extent. And I'm a big family person, so that was big to me to be at home and make sure everything was kind of all right and let them have a chance to watch me play. Because my other two schools that I really wanted to go to were very far away at the time. One school that I really wanted to go to was Stanford, and then the other school I really wanted to go to was Miami, and then the third school I wanted to go to was actually LSU. So I wanted to go far away from home, but that just took a little bit of time. You know, I wanted to make sure home was good first, I guess. And God works in mysterious ways with how He put it and set it up for me that I was able to stay at home throughout my whole college career and then travel the whole world since then, you know, and still continuing to do it.
That's dope, bro. So let me ask you this, because one of the things that's interesting about your story is we talk about the support system that's definitely needed, but you said you're a family person and you were talking about your sister. Like, how was the health obstacles that your sister had? How much of that decision um kind of where it kind of made the decision for you about what it was that you were going to do? Like, do you believe, here's the question, do you believe that had your sister been okay from a health standpoint, that you would have left and traveled and did something else from a college perspective, or were you always going to be there regardless?
I don't know. That's honestly like I have like my family's such a big part of my life, and
Yeah.
she's such a big part of my life because she's changed how I've kind of viewed life because of how positive and happy she is all the time and what she does and how she accomplishes and what she's gone through in life, right? So I don't know. I think that I probably would have went off for college and played somewhere else, and who knows, maybe I would have had a different career, or maybe, maybe I wouldn't say as long of a career possibly, but maybe I would have had a you know, probably more famous career because I think I probably would have had I I might have taken, me being away and focusing on just that, or it could have turned out the other way, right? I could have crashed out and traveled somewhere and just flunked out of school. But, I think everything happens for a reason. I mean, think in another dimension, another lifetime, those things did happen and who knows? But I'm glad that it happened the way it did because she gave me, not the drive to go do more necessarily, but she gave me a different perspective on life to see her every day, be happy no matter what was going on was such a like life changing and game changing decision for like how my life was played out and how I took things and how I viewed just like everything that was going on.
So she was,
Just how I reacted to stuff, you know what I mean?
yeah, she was a pivotal role to you as it pertains to like perspective and adversity. So let me ask you this: who or what shaped your mindset growing up in South Carolina, or like outside of your dad, were there like any mentors that still influence you and that you approach and ask and bounce things off of today?
I think it was mainly my dad,
Mm,
and then I had an older. He was my dad's godfather, his
mm,
son.
wow.
So he was kind of like my big brother, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I just got to watch him kind of how my dad mimicked how his godfather took care of his son with me, and watched how he did stuff, and that was his mentor. So not only did his godfather become my mentor, but his son became my mentor as well, just watching him because he was about 4 years older than I am. and just seeing how he lived life and how he went through sports, and he played basketball, baseball, and football, and he ended up going to college to play football. But, just watching him and learning from his mistakes really, I think that was big for me. And then my dad putting me around and surrounding me around the right people. I think he did a great job. I tell him this all the time now because I've seen it as I've grown up and have my own kids, right? And I see how he literally shaped like where I was going to school, what coaches I was playing for, making sure I had the right values from those coaches. He didn't just let me go anywhere. Whereas, some people don't have those luxuries, right? So I think that's a big thing that I didn't realize then, but I realize now that, he put me in positions where these men that he had me follow and be around, when he wasn't around, shaped my life as well, with their morals and how they did things and following them, and just, the respect I have for them and the love I have for them, and why I can see why he put me around them now and how they shaped my life with everything. But I think it was mainly my dad. I spent a lot of time with my dad, and I'm thankful that I did because of the man he is.
Man, that's beautiful, bro. Like it's so important, man. Like one of the things that I get from what you're saying is like you had a lot of like strong men around you to be able to help shape you and guide you and to get guidance from. It's so important, man. Especially, my whole thing. I don't do political stuff. I'm not into politics, but I know what my eyes see, right? And a lot of times, masculinity is being attacked, at least when you see things on social media. So to be able to see somebody like yourself that's had a productive career, played almost 2 decades in this sport of baseball, man, and to say like, hey, these were the guys that I was able to go to and bounce things off of and ask for advice, man, it's just an important factor. And I believe that's why mentorship is so important too. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of young boys out here that could use, strong men in their life to be able to give them guidance. So for all the listeners that's out there, man, you should, if you're a brother that has some positive things going on, like you should think about that because you're seeing the result of that right here and there. Um, so look here.
Yeah, well, I'll say this too,
Yeah,
because it's a combination, because like I said, I had a strong support system, right? Like
correct.
the whole family was there, because I had to have, like, my mom was the one who actually played softball that
Mm,
got me more
mm,
into baseball, but my mom was always there to care, and my dad was there for the strong part of it, but like my mom having to follow my dad, right, and listen and go along with it, and not help shape me, because she saw what he was trying to build and saw what I was trying to do too, and she saw what she did, because my mom was an athlete in high school, athlete in college, and just my family together. I think you can't let that, like, the mentorship thing is huge, because I just started a mentorship program. So I started a mentorship app for baseball, but we're going to branch into, actually want to talk to you about that later, possibly about starting and branching it into football. So, but like the whole family package, like the support system in general, before you get to the next point, is like everybody has to kind of be on the same page, right? Not only me and them trusting that, like, me being in the right path, but my mom and my dad being on the same page, because you see that a lot of times with families, right?
yeah,
Like you can have two separate, like like people not agreeing, and then the kids are splitting on where they want to go and what they want to do, instead of like people being aligned. Kind of like you said, it's not to be political, but you see it with our country right now. Like everybody's splitting in both ways, right? Everybody wants to do one thing or the other, instead of trying to come together and agreeing on how we can make this actually work and be better, and not have so many problems that we have, to make the societies and communities better. So therefore, we can have more people doing more positive things, right? And therefore, we can have more, mentors and more role models that are doing more positive stuff. So kids can now, not only for the Black boys and African American boys, but all the boys. So we don't have so much negativity going on. And it's clickbait that's like people are seeing negative highlights instead of, more positive highlights. You know what I mean?
absolutely. No, I agree with that 1,000%, man. I am the product of a single mom, so I definitely, definitely give all praises and shouts out to all the strong women out there. I guess my thought process was leaning more towards the fact that, like, there is a need for both, but there's also a
No.
need for strong men, man, because like what's the old adage? Um, uh, hard times make strong men. Strong men
Strong
make
man. Yeah.
easy times make weak men make hard times, you know? And so it's you see
No,
a perpetual cycle going.
no, 100%. I agree. And you have to have that. And like you said, it has been, I feel like, again, not to be political, but you do see it as being kind of an attack a lot of times.
Hmm.
And you feel like it's an attack when you try to do the right things and it is like, okay, it might come off as too masculine, but you're getting attacked for it. So now you have to wean off. But then when the times come for you to be that masculine person and go attack whatever you need to do, you're not able to because you've never done it before. Or when you tried to do it before, nobody let you do it. And so then you don't get to live and learn from it, which is life, right? Life, you live, you learn, and it's how you react and how you bounce back and what you take from it. It's not always, you know, just people stopping you from bumping your head. It's like when you have your son, right? There's certain things you're going to let him figure out for himself.
Yep.
You're not going to let him just not do anything. Like he's going to get up on top of the table. Okay, if he falls off the first time, okay, you learn. You get up on the second time, like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's those things, but it's, you can't have those when the times come and it's necessary, you attack it. You have to teach the men, again, it's why mentors come in, and it's where positive mentors come in, where you teach these kids and these young people when they do fail, okay, learn from it, bounce back, but don't take it in the negative way where you have to, oh, I got to get revenge. Okay, learn from it. Okay, what went wrong? Where's the issue here? Was it something that you could have done better? Is it something that they could have done better? Blah, blah. A lot of times people just jump off the deck right now because the emotions are so high because that's what people are so used to.
I agree with you 1,000%, man. The one thing I love about children, man, is that like they're so resilient. Like they don't understand that they can't do something. I believe that's like a learned behavior. You know what I mean? Like I look at my children, like my youngest, right? Like if he gonna jump off of something, he gonna jump off of something. He don't know no. I don't know fear, right? Like I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and whatever the consequences are, I'll figure it out later. And it's so interesting, like as we get older and society tells us like what we can and can't do, seemingly, right? How so many people buy into that. Usually, some of the most successful people, like yourself, that what I've seen is that we move in a different narrative. You know what I mean? Like if we have a certain target or objective, then we're going to be willing to go through those obstacles in order to achieve that goal, no matter what it feels like, no matter the pain that we have to go through, the suffering. Like we have a specific target in mind, we're going to attack it. And I believe that's where a lot of athletes, man, they thrive in that space. And we'll dive more into it because I'm wanting to understand in depthly why we lose that when we move into a space of transition. You know what I mean? But the question that I want to stay on this topic though, because you spent years going into that, right? This segues into this. So you spent a lot of years like grinding through the cycle, right? Like through different clubs. Like I did my
Yeah,
research, bro. Like
yeah.
I was like,
A
man,
lot of years doing a lot of stuff, man.
I'm telling you, man. I read up on it, man. Like I went through, man. It was like I was going through and researching online, dude. There was like over 400 searches about you, bro. Like I don't know.
Really?
Yes, bro. There was over
Yeah.
400 searches about. I was like, yo, this is gonna take me some time, but I'm with it, man. I'm here for it, right? But so when you were like you were bouncing around through the AAA, like what was the part of your journey that I want to ask you like this: what part of the journey of you having to go through that the fans never saw?
The late nights, the uncertainty. Nobody sees that. I mean, guys can tell you about it and people can feel it, but and people know it. Like if you have a bad outing and you're that guy on the cusp or whatever else, then you feel that like, okay, there's uncertainty here, but people don't understand how much that affects like the whole like scheme of your life once that happens, like the up and downness. Like your family can't be safe in one place. You can never feel comfortable. And I feel like as a professional, when you play your best is when you feel comfortable. Like those times where guys know that, hey, I might be in double A all year or I might be in triple A all year. There's no chance I'm going up. Like you see guys have good numbers, but like the guys that are always the up and down guys, the journeymen that they call them, right? It's just you can never feel truly like I belong somewhere. You always feel like I'm trying to be a chameleon and being pulled 1,000 different ways because it's like, okay, like one mistake, I might go home. Like me having my first guaranteed contract truly my last year, I felt finally comfortable, but then I was hurt and I was injured the whole year. So it didn't really play out the way I wanted to because it took so long. But like if I would have had a chance to, you know, have a secure contract early in my career, I feel like there's no telling how great I could have been. I think me being a top prospect, then going to the bottom when I shouldn't have necessarily to my for my opinion, but then going from there and then bouncing all the way back, going to AAA, going to AA here and there, and then having the years I had in Japan, and then even when I was in Japan, people think that I spent 3 years in Japan and that it was simple and those things were guaranteed. Every year I was like on an option, so I was never truly secure. Every year I had to negotiate again my contract pretty much, or they had a team option on me the first year, and then the second year we had to negotiate, and then the third year, like they let me go. So because they felt like they had something better, which they still didn't. Well, I'm not going to say anything because they've only made the playoffs I think like 1 or 2 years since then. We won 3 championships back to back to back when I was there, but things happen for the way.
That's a common denominator. That's real talk.
We're not going to speak on it, but things happen. People, organizations change.
Yeah.
They wanted to go in a different direction. They felt like some of the things I was doing. Now that I look back on it, they didn't feel like it matched the team culture or whatever. But I was there to never harmed anybody. Just tried to do my job, and I had fun. And I enjoyed my life. Like that. Like we had a good time. Like everybody enjoyed. I made a lot of people happy. That's what I thought. The fans were there to enjoy winning games. So, that's just part of it. But, you don't see what happens like with your life, like the guys' lives after that, because people get to live their own lives and we're supposed to be entertainment. So they don't see like, okay, he got sent down to AAA. The fact that his salary just got cut by like 80%,
Wow.
that his family's now got to move to a different city again, that, he doesn't know that if he stays there, that what the organization is going to look like, if he's going to have another chance to be in the big leagues, or if another team picks him up, his family's got to move possibly across the country, and then possibly that team doesn't want him in the big leagues, so they put him in AAA too. So then he's got to go find a place that's not even in the big leagues again. So there's so many different facets that people don't understand, that we give credit to our spouses and the people around us, again, our support system that go through it with us a ton because of how much they have to go through with us, and trying to keep our sanity at the same time, and then go out there and play. Football, you have 18 weeks now. Basketball, you have 82 games plus playoffs, but then baseball, you have 162 games. Like you're trying to do that plus the mental stress. 162 games is crazy, right? I think somebody said something about Luca's injury history this year, kind of thing, with everything that's kind of happening off the field with him. That's only for 82 games. You imagine that for every day, and then you're practicing every day like you do, but you're practicing before the game too. And then you don't know if you're getting in the game. Plus, you might be thinking about other stuff. And you know what I mean? Like everybody's not taking that into consideration. So it's part of it, though. It's the life we chose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That sparks something though. Like based off of what you're saying, man. All I'm hearing is like the obstacles, the adversity, man. When you're going through something like that, you talked about the mental strain and the family dynamics and what your spouse has to go through. And as a man, when you have a spouse, man, like that's heavy on your heart in your mind, because it's like I want them to be okay. There's a certain lifestyle that I want to provide for them. When you're going through all of that, Jay, like how close are you to walking away and just saying, man, I'm done with
Man,
I'm done with this, man. Let me go do something different, man. It's not worth it. Like, when does that thought process start to creep in, and what is that? How do you work through that?
it crept in more than once. It crept in a few times. There's a few stories that, I'm gonna tell like throughout my journey and throughout hopefully when I become more of a speaker and when I get to talk to the kids through my mentorship program, and, explaining to these kids and hopefully talking more, for these appearances and stuff. that, again, support system. There's plenty of times where I literally called my mom or called my dad and was like, yo, I am done. I'm stopping this. Like this, there's this isn't baseball anymore. And it was more never the game of baseball. It was always, I feel like, the politics of baseball and the kind of surrounding, again, all the extra stuff, the stresses of it, that I was like, okay, this isn't baseball anymore. And having the right support system, my mom would always be like, well, go take a nap, think about it, sleep on it, especially if it was like, day or night, depending on how much time I had before the game. She'd be like, just think on it. And if it still bothers you and it's something that you want to change, then, we'll talk about it at that point in time. But don't let, the outside stuff take away the joy that you have for what you're doing. And I think then my dad would just piggyback off that. He'd just be like, are you happy? Like, that's the main thing that I care about is, are you happy? Like, if this isn't making you happy anymore, then put it down because you're not going to give your best to it if you're not happy doing this. And I would just, take some time. 9 times out of 10, I I went right back to it, right? I went through the grind and went through the meat grinder again pretty much. But, the last time when I retired, that was kind of the last thing was what kind of helped me retire. But there's at least 2 or 3 times, might have been a handful of times that I wanted to retire and just realized that my joy and the happiness that I got from playing the game didn't come from the people that were dictating kind of what was going on. So I had to get back to just being who I was trying to be and enjoying what I was trying to do because I had asked God at a certain point that, hey, if baseball is what I'm supposed to do, then, you'll show me by providing for me. And he did. The next day, I actually got a contract to go play.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was like, well, I'll never take it for granted again. I'll enjoy it. So after that, every time my parents would say something like that, I would think back to that conversation and be like, you know what? Like, I told myself I was going to enjoy this game no matter what. So if they want to do something crazy, that's cool. I'll keep doing what I'm doing and I'll let the cards fall how they may. And again, you you need mentors to help go through that with you a lot of times, right? You need those people to help you that have been there through it. And football, you see a lot of the coaches do that. Basketball, you see a lot of the coaches be former players, but baseball is like the only place where you don't have any guys that have actually been through the minor leagues or been in the big leagues that are coaches now.
Mm.
So it's like I feel like that's why, I'm not saying the product of baseball is bad, but I feel like that's why it's more highlights and clickbait instead of people actually playing the game of baseball like right now. So, and that's no disrespect to them, but I feel like you have to put the data in the people who have played it together and let that play out and show them why it works better and why it doesn't. Understand from a former player and a person that's lived it and understood it from their perspective, be like, okay, this is why this truly works, and this is why this doesn't work. This is why the numbers make sense, and this is why it doesn't. Because in these situations, even though you have those numbers, guys are going to be thinking differently. There might be hot, cold, blah, blah, blah. Because there's no way guys should be hitting 220 and 230 all the time right now. You know what I mean? Just for me personally, that's just with baseball and guys with 6 and 7 ERAs, even though my last year I had a 7. But, you know, that's just, I feel like you have to have the people around you to help you be better and learn through it so you can have those better numbers instead of just cycling players up and down all the time too.
So that's the difference between what theory and experience. You know what I mean? Like you can
Yeah.
theoretically, think that this is supposed to take place, but that experience gives you the in-depthness of why that theory might not work. You know what I mean? So that's very important, man. On this show, man. Like we're open, man, all day long, man. The ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. Um, I, I want to ask you when you were in Japan, right? There was a particular incident that
Hmm.
took place with you involving herbal essence, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it seemed to be a big deal in that particular time frame. Could you walk the viewers through like that process and like what took place, and then not even like just diving into it in depthly, but what you learned from that situation moving forward?
Just, I mean, the whole situation was there. We're not going to say they said there was a tip that I had, like you said, some herbal essence in the country, and then come to find out when I had came home from a road trip that they were watching me for some reason and followed me from one city that was like 14 hours away to the city that I lived in so they could search my apartment and found stuff. And then I spent around 20 some odd days incarcerated. So, but that was the whole process where it ended up coming to find out that there was no evidence against me because everything that they had was, I don't know what it was, but they tried to make it seem like I was like a drug kingpin or something for some reason. I don't know really what's going because I was in another country and the barriers of language and things of that nature. But what I learned from that experience is, you spend a lot of time self-reflecting, right? I spent a lot of time in isolation through that period. People don't know that whole time, like I was literally isolated. I haven't talked about it a lot. I haven't really spoke about it a lot. So this is one of the first times I've actually spoken about it. Well, spoken about it in public, but I was pretty much in isolation I was either in isolation or interrogation. Like that was kind of how it went. I either left the cell and went to, get interrogated by officers and then came back. I got to shower twice a week. I got to go outside into a little, I think it was like 12 foot by like 10 foot like area that was caged off, like top, like and on the sides. I went to did that like 30 minutes a day sometimes, something like that. So, and that was just Monday through Friday. On the weekends, it was just like pretty much shut down. But um, you learn like what the good and bads are about yourself to a certain extent, and you get to like just think of like what you want to do and what you want to become and who you are to, you know, not only yourself but the people around you. And at that point, I realized like, you know what, like I don't feel like I've treated people as badly as this situation entails. And I told my parents once I got out because they were freaking out everything that was going on. It was during COVID as well. So that didn't help anything because the embassy couldn't help me because they were shut down pretty much. So I was kind of just stuck and I had to, void out the rest of my contract that was over there. I never got to go back over to Japan again. Haven't been able to play over there again. Lost a lot of stuff. But honestly, after that, my career didn't take off, but I spent a lot more time in the big leagues and I enjoyed baseball so much more because I learned like I told my parents I went through that possibly because there's somebody out there that might have had to go through that couldn't have went through it and left on the other side as, positively as I could have. So I tried to take and learn from it instead of, using it as a negative and holding it against people and stuff like that. My dad tells me all the time, he's like, you need to write a book about it. And I possibly will at some point. I need to probably. But he asks and tells me all the time, he's like, I don't understand how, and he's like, I don't know what you were thinking or how you got through it. And then you've been so, positive afterwards. And you've been not joyous, but like you've been happy on the other end after all that stuff and everything that happened. Cause he's like, only you know what truly went on through that process. And he's right. Like, again, I was interrogated, I was in isolation, I was, you know, it was a lot of different stuff that was going on, different food, like I said, it was COVID at the same time. Just the whole everything that was going on. Like it was a tough situation, but I'm glad I got to see the other side of it is the main thing. Like I said, there's other people that have gone through similar situations that their lives have never been the same, or they took it in a different manner, or like I said, they didn't make it out. There's plenty of people that we've heard that have been incarcerated. I'm pretty sure that they went in for possibly 2 weeks or 3 weeks and didn't make it out, or when they got out, like their whole perspective on everything changed. Like mine changed to a degree that was like, hey, like I just need to keep trying to provide for my family and trying to make sure that the people after me learn from this. And when it's time for me to talk about it and the people that need to know about it, they understand that like you can use these things not necessarily as a rehab because it wasn't a rehab, but you can use these things and turn a lemon into lemonade kind of thing and make a negative into a positive and keep living your life to a degree that people can still be proud of you. And people, like you said, you did your research because people don't really know about this a lot. So I mean, the people in Japan kind of know about it, but a lot of people in America definitely don't know about it because they only see me as a baseball player, right? They don't. Again, I not on social media promoting like all my struggles. Really, I just try to be positive and help people as much as I can, and I don't tell them everything I've gone through. Like the things that I did over in Japan, not just from, that incident, but from me helping during like the landslides they had over there, going to different communities, making sure I was digging in mud with people and clearing people's houses, helping people when they're in financial situations with their bars and stuff to make sure I was promoting their stuff, to make sure they're drawing more business and things of that nature, helping people when they were injured and stuff, like random situations here. And like people don't understand because like they want you to talk about it, but I try to just live it and then give back from it. And so for me, it was never about trying to film it and do it for cameras or clicks or anything. It's always I'm just doing it because it's the right thing to do, right? And that's just because of the people I've been around. And so maybe I missed out on a lot of money, a lot of opportunities to do stuff, but I think the people that I've touched and helped ultimately through those situations are more important than me trying to get money or getting clicks or anything else. So like, yeah, but back to the situation, like, yeah, like I said, I learned that, I just want to be the best version of me that I can be. You know, that situation is not going to define me. Like I said, I used it as, hey, somebody could have went through this and this was meant for me to go through because somebody else couldn't. So make it through. So then when you have a son later, or you have kids later, or there's somebody that might be in this situation later, you can tell them this is what you can go through and this is who you can be after and this is what you can strive to be. It's not all bad, regardless of like who might try to make it bad.
That's good, man. For me, I look at it from a standpoint of like image and visual. Like the reality is, like when you look at the community, man, you look at our community, like athletes are the superheroes, and I believe that when an athlete shares not just the ebbs, you know what I mean, of their life, but also the flow of it, man, it gives inspiration to kids because you got a lot of guys that are coming from some pretty intense backgrounds, and to know like, okay, well, hey, Jay went through this and he made it out, so I can too. And I look at it from that standpoint, like it's not to, say, look at me, shine a light on me, get notoriety. But I believe two things can be true. One, we're not looking to capitalize on this, but two, we are looking to share because it can potentially help somebody else that's going through something, man. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that part of your life that, that people usually don't talk about. We talked about the giving up aspect. We talked about Japan. So they call it like being designated for assignment, right? So you
The worst thing ever.
right? So
That's the
so
worst thing ever.
so that happened like a couple of times in your career, right?
More than a couple.
All right.
Way more than I felt like it should have,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. When the phone stopped ringing, right? When nobody's like, "Hey, Jay, what's happening, bro? What's it?" Like that's the isolation period. And I believe there's a similarity between that what you went through and also what a lot of athletes go through when the lights go out, man. Like how did you handle that isolation period? How did you stay like locked in and focused on what you needed to do? Because what we find in your story is that it does get greater later. And we're going to move to that right after this. But I just want to dive into that part because I believe like your answer could unlock a lot of brothers that's trying to figure life out right now after sport.
um getting designated when you know that you're still able to play and like you have options is
Yeah.
different than, like I said, when I retired and then when you transition and where guys get cut and released. Like the last time from the Twins, I got released and I knew I wasn't playing because I was hurt. But at the same time, like I've been released before and I've had that uncertainty of am I gonna still play or not? Is there gonna be somebody that calls? Is it gonna be worth it? And then the transition now to the business aspect of me creating this business that I have and the isolation because of that, like you said, the transition phase that I'm in right now, you just have to kind of know that you're sitting in your purpose and trying to do your best. You know what I mean? You have to try to enjoy the downs just as much as you enjoy the ups. When people are calling all the time, you're happy and stuff, but then like when people are not calling, you still have to enjoy those moments with your family. You have to enjoy those moments by yourself because when you start looking down on yourself and being negative, then everything starts spiraling even more, right? So I tried to stay as locked in as I could when I knew I had a chance to possibly play again. But then when I stopped playing and I got into this facet and I'm reaching out to people and I'm trying to get people to understand, what I'm doing now and the people that used to call me all the time and ask me for help and ask me to come to camps and ask me for advice and ask me to, do all these things, those same people, when I'm doing something that could possibly help them and be benefits to them, it's crickets and you don't hear from them and stuff like that. You wonder, are you doing the right thing? You wondering who's there for you, but at the same time, you have to just follow your path and keep, like I said, just keep trusting that what you're doing and who you are is the right thing. And as long, like I tell people all the time, as long as you're happy and enjoying your life and you're doing like things that make you happy and it's not harming other people and it's not truly hurting other people, then I don't see why like it's an issue. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times we take people's judgment of what we're doing and let it ruin our happiness a lot of times. So for me, like I said, this mentorship app that I've created that's, you know, going to help so many kids playing baseball. And like I said, hopefully other sports as well. Not hearing from people where I know it's something that's brand new, but it's so different and it's so useful though, because again, when you were growing up, I'm pretty sure you wanted a mentor, but at the same time, your mentors and your coaches that you normally have, just like I said in baseball, they didn't play the game. I'm giving people and kids a chance to, especially in baseball, they can talk to former major league players as mentors to be able to give back and help. You know what I mean? But like people are like, oh no, I'd rather like my kid just listen to me kind of thing, kind of the ego type thing instead of it being like, you don't even know, it's not necessarily you don't know what you're talking about, but you don't know the true intricacies of like what you're talking about because you've never been there. Like you can't truly, like you're capping your kids off because of your ego. You're giving them a ceiling, and then if they break through that ceiling, you're like, oh well, they broke through it because of me. No, they broke through it because of themselves. We're not trying to be, better than you guys. We're trying to actually make sure we're helping the kids more than anything else. We're worried about helping the kids be better people on and off the field because 90% of the kids that try to be athletes don't accomplish that goal. Again, you're the top 1% of 1% at a certain degree. Like, so that means 95 to 99% of kids don't make it to the big leagues, but at the same point, like 90% don't make it to college. So we want to give them the foundations. And as mentors, we can give them those foundations. We can make sure that they're not taking the game for granted. We can make sure that if bad things happen that we've possibly gone through them before, we can tell them how to react to these things to not derail their careers because we've either been through it, done it, or seen somebody that's actually done it too.
Absolutely. No, you're spot on, bro. Like I'm with you 1,000%. Like it's so funny when you talk about the egos, man. I coached high school ball. I only lasted 1 year. I couldn't do the public school system, man. It's terrible. It's not good. I don't believe in it at all. There's some that are decent, but for the most part, like the stuff that they teach and just I mean, they're not even teaching. Like it's crazy. I'll go on a soapbox on that. But the part that I wanted to bring up was like, so I coached high school ball, man, and it's like the amount of ego on coaches that haven't done it at the highest level is amazing to me because I'm not an egotistical or prideful person, like especially being an offensive lineman. Like we don't even get, you know what I mean? We're not even getting the light unless we do something wrong. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
the only time we get light is he got beat. That dude trash. You know what I mean? Like you rarely get like, hey, bro, this dude is cold, right? Unless you like Hall of Fame status, right? So it's
yeah,
that type of stuff. But like, I look at that and I'm like, man, you've totally missed the mark on what sports is about. Like, we're supposed to come together
Right.
as coaches in your situation, as parents with mentors and coaches, to be able to pour into the kid to give the kid the best opportunity. But what happens is, a lot of times what I've seen with parents, and I'm just speaking on an experience of what I've seen and been a part of, is like they try to live their lives vicariously through their child, right? And it's like you're wanting to get the credit for something so bad that you're actually working against your own, best interest. Like you bite your nose to spite your face type of situation, man.
100%.
And it's like, it's unfortunate for the kids that have that type of parent. The only thing that you can hope for is like that they, as they get older, they start to see it and they find a way to maneuver away from that, and then when they get the opportunity to be aligned with the mentors, that they lock in and they buy in, man. So kudos to what you guys are building. I already know, man, kind of based off of how you're explaining it, that you've been having your own trials and tribulations with it, but keep going, bro, because it's neat.
No, 100%.
You
Well, like you
talk to us
said,
about it. Talk to us about it a little bit, about the program.
well, like you just said though, with the kids and the parents and the
Yeah.
coaches now, but you see that at the highest level in baseball. Like I said, you don't see it at football really.
Mm,
Like the normally, like you see it, the wonder coaches are like Sean McVay and all these guys, right? But they played at such an extraordinary level. Their IQ was unheard of, right?
yeah.
But we've done such a disservice to baseball where it's not the baseball IQ guys that are running things to a certain degree. It's the data analytic guys that are running it.
Moneyball.
And it's like, okay, I understand that, but at a certain point, like you got to realize that the data and stuff isn't going to always translate. And if they've never been there to incorporate the data, they can't fix it. They can't truly fix it. Like I had guys that I coached last year. Like you said, you coached a little bit. I coached a little bit last year for the MLB draft league, and we ended up winning the championship. And we had like the best pitching staff, and like all those guys told me they had learned and developed more in the little bit of time they had with me than they had in like the past 4 or 5 years they've been in high school and college. And that's crazy to think of, but it's true. But if you're doing that at that level, think about it, like if you're doing it in the big leagues. That was my whole thing with what, like when I ended up creating this app, and we'll talk about it. I'm going to talk about that. But like if you're doing it at this level of college in the MLB draft league, and these same guys are coaching in the big leagues, like that means the development's not it's it's still there, right? Like you're missing a lot of stuff, and guys, and you see it a lot of times. But we'll go again. I go into a soapbox about that all day, but I created the app. It's called the Smile Zone, and Smile is an acronym for Start Making Intentional Life Efforts.
Love that.
And I created the app. It's a year-long app, year-long program right now. It's going to expand once we get the first group of kids through it. But it's a 48-week program curriculum that I built that is literally based off of the book that I wrote. The book that I wrote is called Nine Innings to Living Your Best Life. But each week is a different mindset thing. And the first one is Know Your Why. And you just the kids go through it and it gives them a good foundation. Like there's different phases through the whole thing. I'll send you a demo
Yeah, sure.
once we're finished off of here. But each week is a different mindset thing. Kids go through it. And that's the curriculum part of it. There's 4 phases, 12 weeks each phase. But the difference is once you get to the higher tiers of the different subscriptions that we have, you get the curriculum and you get the chance to talk to a mentor. And the mentors are all former big league players. And the only one right now that we're hiring that's not a former big league player, he had years of experience in AAA, and he's been he's a professional scout for a pro team right now, and has been for the past like 10 years. So he's definitely a good resource to have, so we can know both sides of the ball and both sides of the coin realistically. But you get to talk to your mentor either 1 hour, 2 hours, or 4 hours a month, and you also get access to a monthly call that we're going to do where you get to talk to all the coaches and a guest speaker that we're going to have once a month as well. But that's kind of the app in a nutshell, where the fundamentals of it is we're building a foundation for better people, right? Because if you're a happy and better person, you taking these things, because baseball is a game of failure. You get into the Hall of Fame and you fail 7 out of 10 times. You know what I mean? So if you can take these failures and turn these negatives into positives, you can do that in life as well. And so we're creating better people, hopefully, because if you create the better person, then it's going to translate to on the field and you're going to have so much success. And honestly, that's kind of why I told the story about our team last year, is because I beta tested it last year with the guys. I gave them the different mindset themes each week and told them about it. And, they got to talk to me obviously all the time, but to see how it worked and see like if the development was there, if I saw any improvement through the guys, to know if I should launch the app or not. And then considering all the feedback I got and the development I saw from the guys, I was like, yeah, I for sure have to launch the app. And so now it's up and live and we're just waiting, for it to get into the right person's hand, the right people's hands, so that it can blow up and get exposure and touch as many people as possible, because like I said, the more positive people you can have, the more positive the world's going to be, and that's the ultimate goal. And like I said, hopefully I can take this, and it works with any, like I said, it works with any sport, because the curriculum can be translated into any sport. It's just a matter of me finding the other former players to have that same credibility in other sports to do the same thing. That's why I said definitely want to talk to you once we're done, to possibly start it and show you it, so we can possibly do it in football as well, because I'm trying to do it in softball and possibly in tennis, on the same front.
Well, I just want to tell you, man, I love what I'm hearing, man, and I'll definitely be interested in understanding it more for sure. So we can definitely dive into that. That, but to stay in alignment with what it is that we're talking about with the athletes and the development and things like that, like so from your experience, like I said, 20 years playing the game, played in the majors as well. Like, what are you seeing right now that most athletes aren't prepared for, whether that be emotionally, financially, spiritually, like once the game ends? Because eventually it ends for all of us, right? So, what has been your experience about what you
I
see?
think I think it translates a little bit, just the anxiousness that you have playing, the anxiety that you have playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that we all have that, like before games, during games, we all have the anxiety, but it's how we fix that thing. It translates over to, you know, the anxiousness that we have when we're done playing, right? Like how do we calm those nerves to figure out, okay, I need to do this and make a new business or go into a new skill, because it's said and done right now, but it's using those same skills before and trusting them to translate over to the next part. But I mean, it's just, I feel like our anxiety, you know what I mean? Like the best of us are the goats, right? And they say they never got anxious, but they found a way to overcome it all the time. But you see them, their next lives, they do the same thing, right? They are successful in their next lives because I think they found a way that they know that, okay, one, I manifested this, but two, okay, I know what it takes because I've done it so many times to get through this again. I think that's the main thing when you're done. Like for me, is like when I was playing, that was the thing. But again, like I think I was comfortable being in those uncomfortable situations, where now when you're done, you're kind of more in an uncomfortable situation, just find that comfort level again. Like I said, just figuring out yourself, reacting in the right way.
That makes, yeah, nah, like being able to take the transferable skills that you used in sport and figuring out how to align it with your purpose, your true calling, outside of that. One of the things that I talk about when I'm mentoring guys that are moving into what we call the real world, right? Obviously, sports is
Yeah,
the quote unquote real world, but we talk about like, listen, man, anytime you attach your identity to anything that can be taken away from you, it's not your identity, right? It might be something that you do, but that's not who you are, right? You have to be able to figure out who you are and be rooted and grounded in that, and that takes work. It's not something that just happens over time. I've dedicated the remainder of my time on Earth, man, to understanding something called the athlete identity foreclosure. And as I'm
oh,
studying
okay.
this, yeah, it's a psychological term. And as I'm studying this, the premise of it is that for athletes, they've locked in on an identity of whatever sport they're in so long that they haven't had a discovery period. So when that sport is removed at whatever level, high school, collegiately, professionally, whatever level, now the equivalent to that being removed is like somebody that's experienced a death, right?
Yeah,
So if you look at it from
100%.
that standpoint, you can see why so many people struggle in that space. Now, what you come to find is those that had to deal with it earlier, They kind of see the writing on the wall, whether that's high school or college. They do better than guys that have been doing it professionally, but everybody
100%.
goes through it. Yeah. So it's pretty
100% because like I said, for me, I tell people all the time and I try to, they don't understand it because like you said, I've been doing this professionally for 17 years. And then
yeah.
the transition phase is such a short window because I'm 38 now. That's if you go by math, that's over a third of my life already. Like that's
Yeah.
almost 40%. Now I got to do something completely different and
Yeah.
find another true calling through that. And yeah, it can be, but like you said, it's figuring out early. But for me, with what I'm trying to do with the kids, and like I said, it's kind of like what the ghosts do. Like they figured out the anxiety of it
Yeah.
and transitioned it quicker, right? But what I'm trying to do with the kids now, and like you said, catching it earlier, and I actually talked to a lady named Pamela about this,
Mm.
and you probably need to talk to Pam about this. She's doing something of
Bring
similar
it
sorts.
on.
Um, how I'm doing with the app is you're creating the foundation for those guys, regardless of what level they stop at, right?
Yeah.
We give you this foundation through not only the mentors but the curriculum and the community that we're forming, so then when the transition phase, whether it be high school, college, professionally, 20 years down the line, you have the people around you to make sure that that transition isn't as death like. We can be there to celebrate you, give you your flowers like you are right now to me, just like I'm trying to do to you too with all the stuff you're doing. But like, you know, making sure that you have that community of people, and like I said, in each sport or in all together, that it's a bunch of positive people, so like you said, it doesn't feel like a death. You can go to the next phase of life knowing that your purpose is easier to translate from what you've been doing, instead of it being like a drastic effect. That's why you see a lot of guys crash out and
Yeah.
their careers in their lives take a tumble after that, because that transition phase hits them so drastically that they spend all their money or
Yeah.
they go wild out for a bit, and they don't take into account what the next phase might be.
Yeah, nah, well said, bro. And then that's what we're seeing, man. And that's the reason why I started this podcast. Like you got a lot of different podcasts that are quote unquote sports podcasts, and they want to know the journey. They want to know like hey, what was it like being a ball player? What play? And that's great, bro. But I'm more interested in like what does life look like after. Like what are you dealing with after? What were the adversities that you had to overcome? Because what like we both you and I people don't know. So you and I met at PAC Pro Athlete Community out in
Yeah,
Arizona, man, and like
great
they're
place.
doing a great job of creating a platform of individuals, and I love it because the one thing that I kept hearing is like people are doing things and they're active, but they're still in a space that we're like, hey man, I'm just trying to figure it out. And so when you have so
100%.
many people that are in alignment of like, hey, we're doing something, but we're still trying to figure it out. But then you have so many people that may have figured it out. They're saying, hey, hey, we figured it out in the space that we're operating in, and we would be so happy to be able to share what's been successful for us. Like you leave that place with an infectious energy, man, and that's one of the things that prompted this podcast. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna create PAC virtually by talking to all of the people that I've met that have done these things at a high level and letting people see like, hey man, we all go through the same things, and as long as we continue to have these conversations and talk about these different solutions, like who knows what that leads to. Like I meet Jay, and Jay's like, hey, I'm looking to do something in this arena. I'm like, oh, Anthony Morrow, he does that. So you know what I mean? So there's connection tools. So we created this
100%.
connection point, man. So I'll nerd out about that because then I'll start thinking about like trees and root systems and all types of stuff, bro.
No, it's fun though. It's fun. That's what we do now.
Yeah.
You have to take the creative energy that we have, because what we did for so long was, like I said, it was entertainment to some people,
Yeah.
but it was an art to us,
Correct.
because we
Ooh,
had to
that's good.
perfect what we were doing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we had to be creative with what we were doing all the time. We had to make sure we were constantly getting better, advancing ourselves, growing, and stuff like that. Where when we're done playing, we have to take that creativity and do certain other things with it. So, like I said, like do the podcast. I I like I said, I created a mentorship app. I wrote a book already.
Yeah.
I'm writing the children's book series right now too. So I'm doing different stuff while I'm trying to, get my speaking off the ground, to talk more about, again, the stuff that I've been through,
Yeah.
how to translate that over to other players, other organizations, other people. Because with the book that I wrote, it doesn't just only touch baseball, it touches life, and it's made
Mm.
for everybody. So I'm trying to make sure I speak life into everybody in that facet. But then as a niche, make sure I'm catering to the baseball community, because baseball is what's given me so much of everything that I've, loved so far in this life.
I'm glad you said that because that's a perfect segue. Man, I think you got my questions, man. That's a perfect segue into what I have next, man. It's like, so the MLB draft league, right? So I believe that's where you're operating in now, right?
No, I was there last year. I'm
Gotcha.
just a solo. I'm an entrepreneur right now. I have me with the Smile Zone, and then I do, like I said before, I do speeches and
Yeah,
keynotes, and I like to speak to organizations. I'm doing the app full time, just making sure right now that the app is getting to the right people's hands, trying to make sure that I'm finding people that are aligning on the same path of that to get the kids, the baseball organizations to function and want to, use this as a platform to get their kids honestly better, because a lot of these baseball platforms, not only online but in life, like
Mhm.
Perfect Game and USSSA and all these other places, they don't have a lot of their players come back and talk to the kids, or a lot of the coaches that are coaching now aren't former players.
Yeah,
So this is a way that we can embrace that. And but I did coach the MLB draft league last year,
yeah.
and we ended up winning the championship.
See,
I had a
so
lot of great
so
guys
I'm
there.
just saying, bro. Like I've heard multiple times where you were in situations where you were involved. There's championships being won. So whoever's
Yeah,
watching that, when y'all get to Jay Jackson, just understand y'all dealing with somebody that wins ships, man.
that's it, man.
Just saying, I got one of those too, bro. I ain't gonna brag.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. I see it.
No, but so let's go back last year then, and this the only question I have for that is like, how did that change your view as it pertains to developing those young players compared to being one yourself?
For me, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I got to see them actually take what I'm doing, and we got to learn together to figure out what's going to make them better. It wasn't for me, like I said, I feel like a lot of times guys base everything off the analytics now,
hmm,
and you try to make people too much alike instead of it literally being everybody's different, figuring out each person to make them the best version of themselves. So for me, it's it was awesome to just learn with them what can make them better and seeing if it works, and then seeing the success they had if they hadn't.
yeah,
That was kind of the whole thing for me with developing the guys last year and seeing the development happen. Was It was just such an amazing thing just to watch those guys just grow and trust themselves and be more confident, because like I said, I used the curriculum
yeah,
just to see if it worked, just because I knew that for me, like, mindset's a huge part of baseball, but it's a huge part of life. And so if these guys are having bad outings, then it might be they carry it over after the game instead of just letting it be the game and be an outing, and then we fix it tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And a lot of guys commented on that, like using the curriculum, using, the mindset stuff that we were doing, that, hey, like, it helped me be better the next day too, and make me be better outside of like just that little realm that I was in.
I love that. So as we move into and get close to wrapping this up, man, I want to step into legacy a little bit, talking about legacy. Like, you've retired from playing, you've now stepped into entrepreneurship full time. We talked about the app and the organization and the cool things that you're doing. Um, but what I what I want to know is, as you're continuing this, like, what are you building now, right? That you are imagining to outlive you and outlast you. Like, what does your legacy look like moving forward as you continue to build?
A bunch of positive people.
Mm,
That's it, really. Like, it's going to be obviously my son
yeah.
and the people around me the closest to me, my son, and you know the other family members that I have, like how they can be impacted from me and how I can spread love and positively through them to spread through the people around them as well, and give them the knowledge that I can to just, just everybody that I've tried to honestly touch throughout my life. I feel like if they take anything from me, hopefully it is to be positive and be happy, and then just let that spread through other people around them. Like, a lot of people won't do that because, again, being positive is such a hard thing to do for most people
Mm,
because of all the negativity that we have on a day-to-day basis in just our lives in general, right?
yeah.
But for me, hopefully I can just be a little bit of a positive vibe, a positive influence that, can help them be a little bit happier, that they're happier around me, and then that translates to doing something happier for somebody else. And hopefully that's my legacy when I'm done, is happiness. And then obviously, honestly, to travel the rest of the world to speak and teach this positive energy and flow and lifestyle to, more people.
I love that, man. I love that. One of the things that I heard you talk about when you were talking about the transition, having to being AAA, being moved up, going to Japan, finally getting your shot, now moving to different things. Like there's been, and I'm back. I'm up at bat with this. So I hope there's what I'm getting ready to say is the same thing that is consistent for you, brother. But Samantha. Okay, all right. We smiling when I say her name. All right, so that's good stuff. Talk about what Samantha means to you and how she's been there, for you through this transition. Because one of the things that people may not know is like you and her, y'all have your son, and your son
Yeah,
has, he came early, and you guys have had to deal
yeah,
with
very early.
that. Yeah, so he was ready to get here, right? So
Yeah, get here's an understatement. That man was not holding back for nothing.
yeah, yeah. So, and you, I mean, listen, I read, like I said, I read up on you, man. It was something like over 160 something days where you were having to
Yeah,
go back and forth, and like, if you feel comfortable enough sharing that, man, I would love to kind of tap into that. But I really want this portion of the question to be about that foundation that you and Samantha have built going through all of these adversities, man, and still being able to be on top, still being able to overcome. Because I feel like that's important for people to see. Having the right partner means everything. You know what I mean? And
yeah, 100%.
yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit.
No, Sam, she likes to go by Sam. She
Sam,
does not like Samantha
I
as
will
much,
not
but she
call
like,
Samantha, Sam. I apologize. I will not
but
make that mistake again.
but just her being her,
Yeah.
like that's the main reason like we ended up getting together in the first place is because I knew what type of person like
Mhm.
she was and how she is and who she was like portrayed to be to me. So for me, that was the biggest thing was just who she is. And when she showed me that and I saw how strong she was and just the family values that she has on the same point, it made it easy, and just to trust her. But through this transition point, she's just been carrying the load because she's doing such a great job in her career right now, honestly.
Yeah.
She's actually the regional marketing, she's actually the marketing manager, period, because some things happened at work. So they let go of some people, but she's the marketing person for a cybersecurity company, Malware Bytes, aka Threat Down now.
Mm.
So she does that, and she's actually at an event right now in Las Vegas for her company, and she's doing a wonderful job. So she's just been holding the fort down during that whole time. She was the main one that was back and forth because I was the one that was playing. So I would come home whenever I had an off day, but she was literally at the hospital every day except for I think like 2 weeks. And the 2 weeks that she wasn't at the hospital was because they made her leave. They
Mm.
literally told her that she had to go. Like so like for me, like that just shows you what type of person she is.
Man, she's a lioness, man. That's strong. You start talking about Mama's Cubs, man. It ain't. I've
No,
seen.
100%.
It ain't nothing they won't do.
100%.
And that making
100%.
making her leave was not easy. I already know.
No,
Yeah,
that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, man. So I believe I saw something online. I don't know if you broke the news yet or not. It's online, so it's public
Well,
information. But 2026, what's happening with you and Sam? At least I thought I saw something. 2026.
oh, we were supposed to be getting married in 2026,
Mm-hmm.
but we pushed it back just with all our stuff and all her commitments right now.
Yeah.
We pushed it back a little bit. So
But wedding bells are
we're
coming though.
they're coming.
All right.
We've been
All right.
engaged. We've just had so many different things
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't know that we got engaged in 2023,
Yeah.
but then JR's thing happened,
Yeah.
so we pushed the wedding back.
Yeah.
So 2024 happened, and then she had some issues with her family.
Mm.
So we didn't do it in 2024. And then last year, with me transitioning from retirement and stuff, we wanted to make sure that we were in the right position, like with everything that I was doing. And then I ended up coaching. So that threw our whole marriage, like wedding plans that we were going to have for that summer out the window.
Yeah.
And so 2026 is in the works.
Yeah.
We're going to see what happens. Hopefully nothing crazy happens, but that's the goal right now.
Well, there's one thing. If it's one thing that I know, man, talking to you for this hour, is that you and her have overcome so much. So this is like this ain't nothing for y'all. Y'all gonna make it happen, and I'm so excited. And let me know, bro. I want to give you guys a wedding gift, man, just to continue to help you guys on your journey, man. I've been so appreciative of the time that you've given me, Jay. On this show, man, we have our staple question that we always ask our guests, man, and it goes like this. So, when the arena goes quiet, what part of you remains that the game could never take, and what are you building with that now?
My smile. That's the first thing I think. Like I said, my parents, my mom, the one thing that she always told me whenever anything was going wrong was like, "Is this making you happy? Like, is this what's bringing you joy? Don't let somebody else take the joy away." So it will be my joy and my smile. And what I'm building with that is the app, which is called the Smile Zone. And I'm building the Smile Zone, which is funny enough, right? But like I said, smile to me start making intentional life efforts now. So it's just trying to give that back. And what I'm building is the app and building a bunch of positive people and positivity just around the world. Like I said, hopefully being able to speak and tell my story to so many other people so that they can be better and learn from me and be better people. So therefore we can make this, not only our communities, make this world a more better, positive, happier place for everybody because the next generation needs to make this better for everybody.
I love that, man. Well, hey, listen, man. Is there anything, any final word or anything that you want the people to know before we get out of here? I want to give you that opportunity. Anything you promoting? I know we talked about the app, we
Yeah,
talked about the book. Like, what? Let the people know, man.
yeah, man. Look, everybody, just follow me on Jaxlin 58 JAXLAND 58 on Instagram. But tell all the baseball people to follow the Smile Zone and join the app, join the community, be part of something that's going to be bigger than themselves to make themselves and their parents and everybody else around them better people. And just buy the book. I think I got you guys a copy, but buy the book. The book's a life changer for a lot of people. I've heard a lot of good things from a lot of people. It's touched a lot of people's hearts from what I've heard, and it's something special to me. I gave a lot of, energy and effort to it. So go buy the book, 9 Innings to Living Your Best Life by Jay Jackson. But baseball wise, you know, go join the app. And then ultimately for all my people out there, just smile, be positive, be happy, turn lemons into lemonade. Things things could always not always be worse, but 9 times out of 10, they're not as bad as you normally think they are. So try to turn the negative into a positive and just be happy and smile.
I love that, man. Well, look, we're going to put all of Jay's information within the caption, so my team will have all that, the book, the app, where you can find them, the whole nine, man. Quiet Arena, man, I appreciate you guys for joining us. Make sure that you go to quietarenapodcast.com where you'll be able to see highlights of this episode. Also, make sure you're following our YouTube channel, The Quiet Arena, on YouTube and across all social media platforms, man. Jay, I'm so grateful for you, man. I'm grateful for the time, man. God bless everybody. And like Jay said, man, keep on smiling. It's your man, Tony the Tycoon.
Appreciate it.
I'm out.
Living legend, lethal weapon, mastermind, never tried, tell 'em all.